Welcome, Purple Eagles fans, to another edition of Eagle Chats, and I'm here with women's golf head coach Jim Labuda. Jim, welcome into Eagles Chats. How has your fall and summer been going?
It's definitely been a very busy, definitely different season than what we're used to. So thanks for having me.
I know you have to have a little bit of very busy and not so busy because golf during the COVID outbreak has been one of the sports that has been allowed to go for the general public here in New York State. But as of right now, for the MAC, it's been canceled. Why has golf seen two kind of different views when it comes to organized sports and recreational, do you think?
It's really hard to say. I mean, golf is one of the safest sports that out there that people can play. You're outdoors. It's really easy to social distance yourself away from other groups, especially with all the new rules of golf that are put into place where, you can leave the flag stick in while putting, so you don't even really have to touch the flag stick. I mean, there's just so many, it's one of the safest sports out there to play. So I think that's why a lot of people, especially the general public, has really just gravitated to it as something to do and, to keep themselves busy during this strange time in our lives.
You've been around the game almost your entire life. You graduated from Canisius back in 1995 off of their golf team as well. What has evolved, would you say, the most in the sport since your Canisius days until coaching college now?
Definitely equipment and technology. I mean, there's so many things that the equipment has changed so much over the years, where when I was playing golf, it was, the Callaway Big Bertha was the biggest driver out at the time. And now everybody's got these big headed drivers and it's all about distance and speed. And not only that, but it was the technology that's come around in the game where, the kids these days are getting fit on these TrackMan machines or these flight scopes where it's, you can measure ball speed and, how your club path comes through the ball. It's absolutely amazing, the technology, the detail that's put into it today when, 25 years ago when I graduated from college, it was basically you get your choice of maybe 4 or 5 different shafts in a club, go play the club, go try it out, and whatever you like, that's what you hit. Now everything is custom fitting, whether it's drivers or putters or golf balls. I mean, there's just the technology in all these companies has changed so much.
So with that being the case where it's available to most players, what do you kind of concentrate on mostly with your team in terms of coaching fundamentals or swing aspects? What's like the top thing you tend to look at?
Really, for any player that's coming out and playing Division I college golf, especially here at Niagara, they can hit the ball. They've got the ability to hit the driver off the tee. They may not have the most distance, but I try to spend a lot of time working with them on the short game and around the greens, whether it's, chipping or putting or anywhere from 100 yards in, because that's where they're going to save the strokes. Most girls out there today, even across the MAC conference, can hit a driver 220, 250 yards out in the middle of the fairway. And you're doing the same thing most girls are doing. Where they're saving strokes and where most are losing it is going to be from that point in, being able to, recover from their bad shots and make a few more putts here and there. So that's really the difference between somebody who's shooting 85 to 78.
Now, I know a lot of people might lose strokes on the putting green. Is reading greens and reading what a putt might do, is that something that you work on with your students? And where do you start with that process?
Absolutely. I mean, with all my outside of being the women's golf coach, obviously I'm a golf instructor. So I'm constantly teaching people how to read greens and what they need to look for. And really what most people realize is once they get up and stand behind the ball, if you're starting to read a green on the putting green or starting to read a putt on the putting green, it's too late. You need to start reading a green as you're approaching the green because that's where you're going to see the major breaks and whether it's uphill, downhill, side hill lies, things like that, where sometimes when you're standing over a ball, especially on the putting green, you're not going to see those breaks. When you're on the putting green, you're looking for the more subtle breaks. When you're standing back maybe 30, 40 yards off in the fairway, that's where you're really looking to see what the terrain of the golf course and the terrain of that particular green you're on looks like.
I see. And there's one other thing I know our listeners and watchers will certainly want an answer to, and that is, how do I fix my slice?
If I had the answer to that, if I told everyone the answer to that, I wouldn't be in business anymore as
That's
a golf
right.
instructor.
We'll have to put that in the pay version. Okay.
Exactly.
Now you've worked for a lot of different courses in the area: Buffalo Tournament Club, Harvest Hill, Bob Links, and I can go on and on. When recruiting for Niagara, does Western New York offer a terrific variety of course for a player that's looking to kind of, get away from just the home Niagara Falls Country Club course?
There's a lot of good courses in Western New York, and there's a lot of hidden gems out there too that, depending on what you're looking for in a golf course. I mean, there's places like, the links at Ivy Ridge that is more of a link style course where it's got a lot more hills. It's a little more open, but yet you could drive down to Ellicottville and play a course like Holiday Valley, which in my opinion is a absolute gem. You've got your front nine at Holiday Valley that's kind of relatively flat. It's through the trees, but yet when you get on the back nine, it's cut through the ski slopes. So for skiers, you could be playing the same fairway that you're actually skiing down during the winter. So it's one of the best courses in the area, I think.
And with trying to recruit in this new COVID era, and maybe not being able to show someone the course or show someone the campus, and going back to your college days, you thought about what you were looking for going and joining a program. What can you highlight about NU's program that really draws these students to Lewiston?
Really, the thing we're looking to do with the women's golf team specifically at Niagara is, I don't even want to say rebuild it, but we're looking to kick this program off and really get it going. I mean, it's been around for probably 8 to 9 years now, and we've always had middle of the road, average players that really can go out and perform well. But what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to make Niagara University a place where not only a lot of our top local talent here in Western New York wants to go to, but really in the whole Northeast. We've got a lot of great junior players. The Western New York PGA does a great job in the area here of running tours. The First Tee develops players real well. And what we find is that a lot of our top junior players, specifically the females, are leaving the area and going to play for other schools. So, with Niagara being the only Division I women's golf program really within a 4 to 5 hours drive, why can't we keep those players here? So that's really my focus. I want to try and start keeping a lot of those players local, even as much as they want to go south, enjoy the warmer weather. We have great facilities. We practice in the winter at the Paddock Golf Dome, a tremendous indoor facility. So with the amenities that Niagara Falls Country Club has and the Paddock Golf Dome, and really where we're looking to take this program, we want to try and keep a lot of the local talent here in Western New York at Niagara.
Well, you mentioned trying to kickstart this program, and it got started with a bang last season as a member of your team, Sarah Godfrey, made Niagara history, becoming the first Niagara student to win a tournament individually. What was that moment like for both her and you?
That was a great moment, and really glad that Sarah got to enjoy that. Being a senior, it turned out that was her second last tournament she ever played in. Because the
Wow.
spring season was canceled after we went to Daytona Beach. So, it was a great experience. And another player in the team, Susan Leone, Sarah Godfrey, and a player from Monmouth University were in a 3-person playoff. So we had a pretty good chance that one of our two, could at least beat the girl from Monmouth and make Niagara history. So whether it was Sarah, whether it was Susan, I mean, I'm glad that Sarah won, but really the big thing is that Niagara did kind of, we got that first victory, that first individual title to our name. So I'm glad that it was Sarah Godfrey that did it.
And you had the point about recruitment, not just in Western New York, but all of the Northeast. And you have three incoming new players, but one of them is a local. If you can kind of talk about the incoming class for Niagara.
Sure. Yeah. Hannah Cassidy, based out of, she's from Lewiston, New York. She, I believe, went to Newport High School. I mean, a great young talent, came up, played all the Western New York PGA junior events. And, I started talking to her, started looking at her maybe about a year ago. And, her heart was set on Niagara right from the beginning. Being right in Lewiston, she saw the campus, very familiar with the university, very familiar with the program. So it was real easy to sell her on, hey, come to Niagara and let's, make this a place where more local girls want to come. So my other two freshmen, I've got Aaliyah Griffith from Ohio. That's also coming in. Aaliyah was a great talent in the Barberton, Ohio area. Played a lot of local tours out there. One, I believe, went to the high school finals, state finals in Ohio. So, again, another great talent in Ohio that we have a lot of players a couple players from Ohio too that are coming over. So, people are starting to recognize that Niagara's a place to come. My third freshman coming in, Isabel Mabry from Michigan, actually Davidson, Michigan area. So again, another great high school player out there. Isabel's got a good future ahead of her. Hits the ball a real long way. So I really like the ceiling's high for all three of these freshmen coming in.
It seems like, especially with the game of golf, because you don't need to find a course to play. You can do driving ranges. It seems like players are getting started younger and younger. So when they're graduating high school, they're a pretty polished product. Right? Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, the game of golf right now, kids are starting, and I work as an assistant pro during the summer at Lancaster Country Club, and we've got kids as young as 5 and 6 years old in our junior program. So parents are just looking to get these kids started as young as possible. And really the big thing is because, the golf is a game that you can play for life. And that's really the motto. And that's really what the PGA and everybody is focused on now. Not everybody's going to turn into a Tiger Woods or a Dustin Johnson and make it on tour, but it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the game and be outdoors and pass it on to, your kids and your kids' kids for the rest of their lives. So that's really the focus now, is not, developing golfers and developing athletes, but really developing golfers that enjoy the game of golf for life.
Now, turning our attention to the upcoming season, what precautions have been put in place for practice for yourself, and what have you been able to do now that school is back in session compared to what it would look like on a normal season?
Well, in a normal season, we would have started practice a couple of weeks ago and already had at least one tournament under our belt. But unfortunately, with everything that's happening and our fall season being canceled, practice really right now is limited to 1, maybe 2 days a week. We have to make sure that the team is obviously social distancing. When we arrive at Niagara Falls Country Club, we're all wearing masks. We're all doing the social distancing and staying apart. The girls have a certain place where we all gather before practice, do a little pre-round stretching, a little pre-practice stretching. And then from there, it's, what do we need to work on today? So if I can have 3 girls go and play 9 holes, and I can spend time on the driving range with 2 of them and maybe send 1 to the putting green, doing different drills, and then maybe have the driving range and putting green rotate. So it's definitely been a challenge. It's nicer because I have a smaller team, so it's a little easier to manage where everybody is at one time.
Interesting. And right now, you're looking at a restart in the spring, or are you hoping to maybe come back later in the semester, or what's the latest update you'd be able to provide for us?
I would love to be able to come back in this semester, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. Right now we're looking at a spring restart. Our MAC championships are scheduled for April. I'm hopeful that they go on at that time. So right now it's just a matter of trying to plan a spring schedule. Difficulty being is obviously being in the Western New York area. It's not like we can go and play golf in January and February and March outside. So the big questions right now are we going to be able to travel? If we are, where are we going to be able to travel? And, will other schools be holding events that we can get to at that time before our MAC championships in April?
A lot of unknown. Um, lastly, with the spring season hopefully taking place, your seniors that are going to be seniors this year, can you talk about them and how are they leading the group maybe through some of this uncertainty?
Yeah, really, my biggest leader right now is Daniela Hopper, and she is a graduate student. She would have been a senior last year and graduated, but because her spring season got canceled, the NCAA granted an additional year of eligibility. So she decided to return to school as a grad student this year. So this is really, the spring season is kind of be her last season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can do. She's put in a lot of hard work over the summer, even though it's tough to be able to go to grad school, work full time, and balance a golf career. She's definitely worked hard at trying to do it, and I'm expecting big things from her in the spring, and especially at the MAC championships. And her last MACs, she's definitely going to go out with a bang.
We certainly hope that we get to follow along this spring. Um, Before we wrap up, any last messages or things you want to share with the Purple Eagle fans out there?
No, we just, the women's golf team definitely appreciates all the support we get. I know we're definitely a smaller team out there, but anytime anybody in the area sees us, sees any of the members of the team, feel free to stop us, say hi to us, ask us questions. But I will say, be prepared, because over the next year or two, you're going to be hearing a lot from the women's golf team at Niagara University.
That sounds great. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from you as the season draws closer, as the school year progresses. I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to have a Eagle chat with us today.
Oh, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
That is head coach Jim Labuda of the women's golf team here at Niagara. And as Jim has stated, they're looking to get a big bang going, a lot of fun times for that program coming up in the very near future. Till next time, I'm Frank Gallo. Thank you again for joining us for another Eagles Nest chat.